Hey guys, in today's video I'm going to be showing you all of my current main speed cubes as of April 2020. So let's get straight into it. So my current 2x2 main is the Valk 2M. Now I've had this cube for a really long time and I've probably done close to 1,000 or 1,500 solves on this cube, which I think just gives me a pretty good idea of how it behaves. Overall, this cube is incredibly stable, and if you set it up right, it can still be a pretty fast cube. So you can really get some really good times on this cube. So yeah, Valk 2M. So my 3x3 main is the GAN 356X. Now I've had this cube for quite a long time now, but I've really never felt the need to get an upgrade or anything, because this cube still does exactly what I want. This cube is incredibly fast, but also incredibly stable. As many of you know, the GAN 356X has those changeable magnets, among other things, that can really make it pretty customizable. So I have the strongest magnets in it, and I think like the middle GES setting. But yeah, overall this cube has really been good for me, and I usually set it up with a little bit of Lubical Silk and DNM37. So yeah, GAN 356X. So my 3x3 OH main is the GAN 354M. I've had this cube for a pretty long time as well, and I've sort of just designated it as my OH main just because of its slightly easier handheld side, only being 54mm compared to the regular 56. Now I'm hesitant to even call this a main because I never really practice OH whatsoever, and as you can see, I know like zero finger tricks whatsoever. So I guess if I had to choose a main, would be the way that I would probably describe it, I would choose the 354M. So for 3 blind, I use the WeiLong GTS3 M, and the only reason that I use this cube for 3 blind is 1, because it doesn't have a logo, and in 3 blind you can't have a logo on your cubes, but that's a pretty dumb reason just to pick a cube for. So I've been able to set this cube up with pretty much all Lubical Silk and some weight 5 lube from the cubicle, and it's been able to make it a pretty slow but also pretty in control cube, which is pretty ideal for blind solving because the last thing you want is to have some slip up or corner twist in the middle of your blind solve. So yeah, WeiLong GTS3 M. So my 4x4 main is the AoShi GTS2 M. Now I've also had this cube for a pretty long time, but it also holds true to what I want in a cube today. Overall, the cube is pretty fast, but it's also pretty stable, and that's pretty much one of the only reasons that I have this as my main, is because it's fast and stable. Now, its nearest competitor, which was the WuShui M, I'm sure many of you have heard it before, that cube was just a little bit too slow for me, and I couldn't really speed it up, and it really just came down to me being able to practice longer on the AoShi GTS2 M. So yeah. Now for 4 blind, surprise surprise, I also use the AoShi GTS2 M. Maybe you saw that coming because it doesn't have a logo, maybe you didn't, I don't know. But this cube, like I said before, is pretty stable. It might be a little bit fast in terms of blind solving, but it'll do overall. And don't get the misconception that I'm good at 4 blind, that is very false. I've been learning it pretty much in the last week here. So yeah, 4 blind, I have the AoShi GTS2 M. So for 5x5, I have the Valk 5M. Now this cube is absolutely phenomenal. Sometimes I'll just pull this cube out and just do turns just for fun because of how smooth it is, and you can kind of get an idea of that in the sound. It's just really buttery all around, and it's just overall a really fun cube to turn on, and all of the layers turn pretty evenly, which is also pretty nice. Not that many 5x5s do that, so yeah, Valk 5M. Now for 6x6, I use the AoShi GTS M. This cube is also pretty old now, but it's still not too bad. All of the layers turn pretty evenly, which is the first reason why I like it a lot. So that's one thing that not that many 6x6s do. And I've set it up with pretty much just Lubical Silk, DNM37, and a little bit of weight 5, not much, which gives it a pretty slow but pretty in control feel, which is a good thing for a 6x6. And I don't really practice 6x6 that much just because I seemingly get parity like every single time. But yeah, that might just be a me problem, but yep, AoShi GTS M. Now for 7x7, I'm using the X-Man Spark M 7x7. I've had this cube for maybe like a month or two, or well, longer than a month, probably like 2 or 3 months now that I think about it, but all around this cube is phenomenal. It's very in control, but still very fast, and it's just very smooth, and you can kind of hear it in the sound. Granted, my turning isn't exactly the best on a 7x7, but recently I have been doing this series, which is trying to become sub 5 minutes on 7x7. For some people that might seem like a breeze, but for me it is definitely a challenge considering that I normally average around 7 minutes or so. So I've definitely been working a lot on 7x7 recently, so yeah, X-Man Spark M. Now for Pyraminx, I'd first like to say that I have literally not picked this cube up in close to 6 months, and I have also never actually learned a method for Pyraminx, but this is the Moyu magnetic Pyraminx. I've probably had it for close to 2 or 3 years now, but I never really practiced it at all. I've probably not even done like 100 solves on this cube. But yeah, Moyu magnetic Pyraminx. So another event that I really don't practice that much is Megaminx, but when I do, I use the X-Man Galaxy V2L. And I think L stands for light, I'm not 100% sure, but this cube is pretty light, so that would make sense. But yeah, overall this cube is pretty stable, especially for a cube that doesn't have magnets or anything like that. So yeah, X-Man Galaxy V2L. So for Skewb, I use the X-Man Wingy Skewb, and once again, I pretty much never practice Skewb. I probably haven't picked this cube up in close to 3 months either, but as you can see, I know zero finger tricks whatsoever, and I am absolutely terrible at Skewb, but on the event that I do solve a Skewb, or maybe someday actually learn a method for it, I will use the X-Man Wingy. Now for Square 1, I'm also not that good, but it is a fun event in my opinion. Sometimes I practice it just for fun, but I haven't really learned any new algorithms or actually tried to get better at it in a long time. Now, a while ago I did this comparison, which was the Yuxin Little Magic versus the Volt V2 M, and it was just kind of like a compare and contrast, and I eventually deemed that the Yuxin Little Magic was sort of better suited to me, so that's sort of how we ended up with the Yuxin Little Magic. And one last one that I almost forgot was FMC. Now, I'm not really sure for rules on FMC or anything. I've never even tried FMC, but my guess was that assuming you can have like a logo and stuff, which I don't know why you wouldn't be able to, but I've surprised myself before, I would probably just use the GAN 356X, and I don't know any like special tricks, so I would probably just use CFOP still. Probably try and get something in like the 40 move count range would be decently efficient for me. So yeah, so hopefully you guys enjoyed this video, and these are all of the mains that I currently use as of April 2020. So yeah, other than that, if you enjoyed, definitely leave a like, and if you're new, consider subscribing. As always, nothing new there. And yeah, hopefully you guys have an awesome day, and I will see you later.